Om Namah Shivaya. The ancient five elements of nature are fire, water, air, earth, and the fifth element is the space. But I like to call it the Great Spirit, because this is how the shamans are calling it. And by giving to the space a spirit, we give it life. We can easily imagine that fire, water, air, and earth are alive because they move and they change behavior, like they are a living being. But the space itself is something that, until recently, scientists believe that doesn't exist. They believe that the space is empty. But now they know that the space is actually something. They call it quantum field. But mystics knew that already a long time ago. The scientists are also slowly coming to the same conclusion of the five elements concept. They categorize all the elements of nature that they found with a microscope into four categories, which they call the state of matter: solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. These, of course, are matching with our four ancient elements: solid with earth element, liquid with water element, gas with air element, and plasma with the fire. And now they have a quantum field, which is the fifth element, space. Okay, scientists came to this conclusion with microscopes, physics, and mathematics. But how the mystics came to this conclusion? Simply by observing the human body and nature. The shape of our body is representing number 5, with 2 arms, 2 legs, and 1 head. On each of these arms and legs there is again something 5 fingers and 5 toes. This pointing that there should be something 5 on our head as well. And guess what? There are 5 senses on our head, and they are our door of perceptions, through which we perceive the nature around us. But things are getting even more obvious, because these 5 senses are pointing to the 5 elements of nature. Not only because of number 5, but because each of those senses is connected to one element. Fire with the vision, water with the taste, air with the smell, earth with the touch. It is easy to recognize those 4 elements in nature because they are showing their power with the 4 main natural catastrophes, how we call them. Wildfires caused by fire, floods and tsunamis caused by water, strong winds caused by air, and earthquakes caused by earth. Those elements are the gods of nature. By the way, in many ancient mythologies, the first gods were exactly the gods of the elements of nature. But the nature shows us that the 5th element is different. 4 fingers are similar, but the thumb is a bit different. Also because 2 arms and legs are also very similar, but the head is very different. The head is actually the most important part of our body. You can live without arms and legs, but not without a head. The head is like the life itself. it contains all the five senses and it is on the top of our body. And this means that we need to search for a natural catastrophe that is different and that contains all the elements and perhaps is on the top of the nature. Well, the mystics found it. It is the storm. The storm contains strong winds, rain, thunder, and dust. It is coming from the sky, from above. So it means it's on the top of nature. This means that the fifth element is above the sky. It is the space where the spirits of the elements living. But the story of this five elements concept of nature doesn't stop here. In the sky there is sun and moon, which are like two eyes on our head. Sun and moon representing day and night. The two biggest phenomena in nature. And the two eyes on our head are representing two parts of our body, left and right, or two kinds of humans, male and female. But apart from the sun and moon, the two biggest objects in the sky, there are thousands of stars visible with the naked eye. Mystics believe that those stars are the souls of humans. When the star falls on earth, a new human is born. When someone dies, her or his soul go back to the star. Among thousands of stars, there are some of them that are very recognizable, like for example the Orion Belt. And of course, those special stars belong to kings. But there are five even more special stars that are constantly changing position in the sky. Today we call them planets. There are 5 planets visible with the naked eye. Those were stars of the gods of nature, the spirits of the 5 elements of nature. Perhaps even the source of the sound, which is the silence of the space which we connect to with the 5th sense of hearing. This is how those 5 planets got the characteristics of the 5 elements of nature. This is how the astrology was born. I will talk more about astrology another time. Actually, I will talk how ancient mystics discovered the 5 elements in time, space, human body, and symbols. And this is how astrology, numerology, Vastu, chakra system, and many other similar esoteric and spiritual teachings were created. But let's go back to the nature. The storm is not the only catastrophe that contains all the elements. The explosion of volcano is also releasing all the elements in the air. A smoke, a liquid fire, and an earthquake. It seems like the elements are also underground. It seems like the elements are everywhere. Especially the 5th element, space, which contains all the elements. Actually, the space is even inside the elements, between electrons and protons, between atoms, between planets, between stars. There is a huge amount of space. Our body and the entire cosmos is made of 99.9% of space, even more actually. And those 0.00, I don't know how many 0.1 is actually also a space with a different vibration. The science is telling us that everything is made from the same thing. There is one thing only that exists in this universe. And this is exactly what many mystics are saying for thousands of years. Everything is one. Everything is God. God is everywhere. How do they know that? Because they experience it. I experience it. And many others experience it. Perhaps you can too. This universe is alive, and we can call it the Great Spirit. This Great Spirit is playing a game of the 5 elements of nature. A game between fire and water, between air and earth, and between space. Those elements are not only playing the game in nature, but also in our character. We are made from the same nature. We are made from those 5 elements. Even our character is made of those 5 elements. And those 5 elements are not only shaping our physical body, but also our thoughts, words, feelings, and actions. And when we wonder why our life is complex and difficult sometimes, it is because fire and water are opposite. Air and earth are opposite elements. And space is completely different. But we need to balance them, all of them. We cannot have one element very powerful or one very weak. This is a disbalance. The most important thing in life or in this universe is balance. Balance between sun and moon, and balance between the 5 elements of nature. So the first thing that we should learn in the school of life, it's about the 5 elements. How to discover them in your character and how to balance them. And once you master over your 5 elements, you can use them to reach the full potential of your life. The knowledge of the 5 elements is the ABC and PhD of spirituality. It is the path of balance. Om Namah Shivaya.